everyone can hear me, right? So
Yes.
today I'm going to present the research that I have recently done, and that's on power politics and teaching English through English, and transforming pedagogy to achieve global goals. So what is here actually is we have recently introduced communicative language teaching in Bangladesh, and it has been advised that teachers will use only English inside the classroom, and that has created lots of problems and lots of complaints from both teachers and learners who believes that this pedagogy should be transformed to achieve the real objectives that do have, and to achieve the communicative goals, and to participate in globally and locally. So to introduce the research, I just want to introduce some themes, I mean, that is implied inside the research. So post-colonialism is here, and which is a political concept definitely, and originated from that dispersing cultures and expansion, European expansion into the East, and imperialism concerns here, and which is also a concept. And while colonialism is a practice, and the peripheral activities around the central power. So the theory that supports my research is a diffusion of English, that I mean promoting English languages and cultures through linguistic imperialisms, and that once again expand the concepts of expansion and exploitation comes, and the balance comes from the ecology of languages. That is, we want to accommodate diversity and equity widely inside our classrooms. Apart from the multilingual and the Anglophone context, we do even inside Bangladesh, we do have diversity inside. I mean, those people who are coming from rural and low income background, and the people who are getting EMI, English as medium of instruction, which is quite expensive. So we need to accommodate and ensure equity inside even the local classrooms. So the research today I'm going to present is focusing on the learner perceptions about the implied hegemony in learning and receiving instructions in English. And usually, we, the teachers and the parents, often disregard their original linguistic and cultural capital throughout the pedagogical process, and to fix their objectives and goals. So teaching English to English, I'm going to tell a bit about the theoretical framework that's engage the research. There are some pedagogical aspects, and at the same time some political aspects too. So to look at a TET as a pedagogy means that English has a huge role in the teaching process and even the learning processes too, while teaching English in English indicates only the teacher's language. So teachers have roles and learners have roles at the same time. So, but TET a bit is a bit political, only because teachers have to be role model for authentic language use, and as a native speakers agents. And I believe the political and the colonialism implies in this point that the non-native teachers have to be the agent of uh, the native teachers. And some other political aspects in TET that we recognize in Asian context. The teachers have high anxiety to use English throughout the class time. And Korean teachers in Huang research, Korean teachers have resisted uh, to use TET inside the classroom, and students have low motivation since they do not understand the class. And that is why communicative language teaching and teaching English to English both have failed in these contexts. The second political aspects that we find in TET is the second language proficiency gap, that we do not have options for wide language socialization outside the classroom, particularly in the non-Anglophone countries. And this is a key equity issues that we need to address in the low-income countries too. The third political aspects involved in teaching English to English is the education in mother tongue. That is our human right. And definitely they need mother tongue's help to learn the other subjects and the other uh, learning atmospheres beyond English even. So why do I do this research? I thought that our learners in Bangladesh, they construct their language identity from two perspectives. One is post-colonial culture, and the other is global need perspectives. So one is instrumental, while other is their right-based perspectives. So teaching English to English learners usually have some special pedagogical language needs to adjust to it, such a monolingual instructions in a diverse context. And they do have cultural needs, and which once again, I'm telling that teachers and parents ignore, and they always reinforce the success that, but they never reassure the challenges that they have to go through during the learning process and the period. And also incorporating the local varieties and the new forms, also important and implications in the pedagogies that our non-trained teachers often ignore inside the classrooms. So we have to address and we have to notice these things that's going in a non-native context. Beyond that, I found in literature, little research has been done on students' perceptions or their reactions or responses to teachers, particular teaching practices or choices of instructional language. Often this is top-down process, and students' opinions or their concept is not counted inside the classroom. The methodology that I used was a mixed method research, and 300 years learners from a local English version school and a public university where I teach, and a private university participated. And all the participants were aware about the proposed theories and the jargon, since I briefed them before I started with the research work. And I used an original questionnaire which comprises 5 open-ended items and 5 yes/no options. And the questions focus on the learner anxiety with the L1 interferences in teaching English to English, and whether they feel discriminated in only English approach, and why are they silent sometimes inside the classrooms. So that was my concern, that if the language or the languages are issues to make them silent, they have no inquiry, no questions why. And I conducted 3 FGDs, that focus group discussions, to learn about the learners' thoughts about how should they be taught English language so that they achieve their specific objectives and the goals that they have in their mind. I analyzed the data at 2 stages, both statistically and descriptively. So the findings shows that 48% respondents feel pressure and tension while using the first language, that is Bangla, and also they hesitate to speak English inside the classrooms. So I see it a huge pressure because they have both side tension that I cannot use my language and neither the target one, and the rest of the 52% are comfortable to use a first language since teachers do not punish, and they can express feelings or queries instantly in Bangla, and that shows that they need first language inside their language classroom, and they see it as normal. The interesting thing is that those who are receiving instruction in English, like EMI learners, they are coming from a rich background and they have more English exposure. They are more comfortable in using first language instead of the classroom. So I relate these findings to that. Whenever we are quite capable in target language, I mean, quite proficient in target language, we now start valuing the first language and the mother tongue. And those who are coming from rural background and learning English as a major subject, they have less proficiency, but they have more tension in using Bangla. However, the other variables that I use, like gender, family income, or previous learning history and achievement, have negative correlation to these perceptions, that whether they feel pressure in using Bangla or not. The open-ended items, that is a bit qualitative, that shows that they do have, they experience some abusive effects of using first language inside the classroom. That those include teacher and peer reactions, and they do have shyness about non-acceptance, and sometimes they are embarrassed as English major learners, and they feel awkward, stressful, or inappropriate. Also, they are worried about whether their language learning progress is really taking place or not. Uh, and on the other side, they have some challenges in using English inside the classroom. They're discomfort, and they have little confidence, and they're scared about making errors, or sometimes uninspired, and obviously difficulties with fluency. So, so this is really a bad learning environment, this creates these pressures. And I guess they become silent only because of that neither of the language they can use inside the classroom.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
And okay, thank you. So and the 43% students disagree that monolingual this, and 34.7% of them who believe that teaching English to English discriminate them. They definitely have some reasons that they have ambiguity, misunderstanding, and diffidence, fear, interaction gap. 2.1% 1% participants who are undecided about their stance, that whether they are being othered or not. They believe that teachers need to be flexible, and to raise their self-esteem and reduce inhibition. That means they do have some problems also with this monolingual approach, and that's why I want to add them to the second group. So a larger group has problem with the monolingual approach, or the teaching English to English. And to my expectation, gender has statistical relation, because this is a conservative society and context in Bangladesh, and female learners are always vulnerable through any social change or any social moves. So they feel more vulnerable to be other inside the classrooms. And they mentioned the reason why do they feel like this, that only English force them to leave the class with confusion, and which is othering and even more stressful than harassment and silence. So they want to learn, but unfortunately they can't learn properly, only because of the language. Negotiating identity, which is challenging, and they feel quite insignificant in the department, and they do have inferiority complex and self-deprivation or socio-linguistic imbalance, like a one language for community and the other language for academia. So and the feeling of imperfection. I remember as an undergraduate or graduate student, I felt similar, and disintegration of own beliefs and identity. So this is the more important part here, is that when learners say that discrete grammar learning doesn't imply colonial approach, while literature does. So that means they have problems with, and they struggle to fit with the diverse social context and the dialogues and conversations, because that really conflict with their cultural adaptation, and really force them to adapt to foreign culture. And discarding L1 inside the classroom really socially exclude them and alienates them in social interaction. They say they do not have enough peer interaction in English inside the classroom. And discarding Bangla or first language weakens them in both the languages. And obligatory English is always available. Even the EMI learners report, they have obligatory English is really a problem for them. So English for local academic and they are very instrumental, but they need easy, slow, and planned teacher talk, and difficult or technical terms should be explained in Bangla. But what they actually summarize is they want teaching in English, but they need to be able to explain it in Bangla. So they need first language, and translanguaging has been greatly emphasized, because that could help them to look that they are bilingual, and at the same times they using simultaneous translating, they feel better, and they feel that then I will feel like a bilingual really. So the alarming part is that they say that neither EMI nor TET can never attain that proficiency which early English immersion can do. So we are really in a great challenge, that how can we, what policies and what strategies can really take place in our context. But overall, a transformative pedagogy can help them, which incorporates translanguaging or outer circle literature. Let's say Indian English or Singaporean English is easy for them. They say this. And the comparative language study can create a multicultural atmosphere here. To conclude my research, I just want to focus on a point. But the other things, that the complexities really arise from the contradictory purposes, like instrumentalist purposes and right based perspective, I need to use my language and I need to learn English at the same time. And definitely, global language competence is not a one-shot deal. Definitely, it needs greater policy and very well planned modes and approaches to be chosen. But one contradiction I found with my participants is that they have they need semi-local and the local varieties as medium of instructions, but they do not target to learn that. They target to learn a standard American or British varieties. But I think they need to change this attitudes, and they have to be very positive to the local varieties. And the last comment from me is that about the sustainable development goal that the global needs that is designed for the learners, that they should not think that only learning English can make the development, and they have to be able to see themselves with all other sociocultural capitals and intellect that we in the development scheme. The way we teach English, actually, we give the message that if you do not learn English, you are not part of the development. So as a teacher, we have to, and that other teachers and the learners both have to change the uh, views and perceptions that not only learning English, but also our actually our language has also some potential. So we have to accept the non-standard varieties too. And these are the references that I used for the presentation. And thank you for hearing me. If you have any questions.